Days of Our Lives may see EJ's hidden agenda, a shocking book deal, and a desperate mission to save Beau's life. Wednesday's episode of Days of Our Lives delivers high drama, long-held secrets, and emotional reunions as the residents of Salem find themselves swept up in power plays, heartbreak, and life-or-death missions. This episode marks a significant turning point in several storylines as EJ reveals a secret plan that could change the fate of Salem University Hospital, while Xander is pulled into an unexpected opportunity that may change the course of his future. Let's dive into the emotional entanglements and ambitious plots that unfold in this dramatic episode. Xander's unexpected opportunity. And Stephanie's literary surprise. At the heart of one of Wednesday's biggest developments is a surprising update that Xander receives. One that could transform his life in ways he never imagined. Alex, ever the charming and persuasive figure, has stumbled upon something unusual. A manuscript. But not just any manuscript. It's the unpublished novel of Stephanie, titled One Stormy Night, and Alex is convinced it's a hidden gem. With the manuscript in hand, Alex heads straight to Xander to share his excitement. He praises Stephanie's storytelling skills, describing her prose as evocative, her characters as deeply human, and the narrative as something with the potential to become a bestseller. But more than that, Alex sees this as a perfect vehicle to propel Tate and Holly publishing into a new era, one in which the company isn't just known for glossy magazines and generic titles, but for powerful, literary voices. Xander, initially skeptical, listens as Alex passionately lays out his vision. He speaks not only of profit but of prestige, how this book could reshape the brand of Tate and Holly Publishing and open doors to more respected publishing ventures. Once Xander warms up to the idea, the next step becomes clear. Stephanie must be convinced to allow the book's release. That may prove to be more difficult than expected. Stephanie, when approached by Alex, is stunned. She never imagined anyone would read the manuscript, much less want to publish it. The vulnerability of sharing such personal writing makes her hesitate, especially as her relationship with both Alex and Xander remains complicated. Will Stephanie take the leap and let her words see the light of day, or will her fear of exposure keep her story hidden forever? Shawn and Belle reunite. Under the weight of family pain elsewhere in Salem, another emotional thread plays out between Shawn and Belle. Their encounter begins awkwardly, not uncommon for a couple with such a tumultuous history, but quickly shifts towards something more heartfelt. The strain on both of them is clear. John is missing. Beau's health hangs by a thread. And despite the tension between them, Shawn and Belle can't help but fall into old rhythms, comforting each other through the uncertainty and fear. The bond they share, forged over years of shared heartbreak and fleeting joy, begins to rekindle. They talk about the past, about what could have been, and about what still might be possible. But even as emotions rise, Shawn's mind is elsewhere on a dangerous plan he's forming with Steve. Together, they're preparing to steal a miracle drug from Salem University Hospital, a drug that could save Beau's life. The secret deal that could change Salem forever. Meanwhile, behind the grand doors of the Holly mansion, an entirely different storm is brewing, one of power, manipulation, and hidden agendas. Dr. Russell, Salem's conflicted and brilliant medical researcher, arrives for a meeting. Not at the hospital. Not at a lab, but at EJ's home. The reason? A secret partnership. A quiet, deliberate maneuver that EJ has been orchestrating for weeks. EJ reveals his grand plan. He's set his sights on purchasing Salem University Hospital. But he isn't doing it out of the goodness of his heart. This isn't philanthropy. It's a calculated move to gain control over Dr. Russell's laboratory and the contract tied to it. For Dr. Russell, the hospital has become a cage. His research, especially the experimental drug Versavix, a revolutionary treatment for sepsis, has been shackled by bureaucracy and corporate red tape. He's tried to get out of his contract, but the hospital board refuses. EJ's solution is simple: buy the hospital, own the board, and free Dr. Russell from his contract. In return, Russell would work under EJ's terms that would funnel the profits and prestige of Versavix directly into EJ's hands. But there's more at stake than money. Beau's life depends on that drug. And time is running out. Kayla's urgent mission. And a distracting goodbye. While EJ works behind the scenes to seal his deal, Kayla is fighting on a different front. Her mission is clear: save Beau's life at any cost. She coordinates with Steve, knowing that the hospital, under its current management, will never release the experimental drug in time. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and Kayla is prepared to bend the rules. But just as she prepares to take action, she's interrupted by Sarah, who shows up unexpectedly. Their conversation is warm but filled with tension. Sarah is leaving Salem, and Kayla finds herself pulled into an emotional farewell at the worst possible time. And as Dr. Russell walks away from the hospital, Kayla assumes he's going to work for a pharmaceutical company. She has no idea that he's on his way to the DeMera mansion, or that he might already be under EJ's control. A web of secrets and desperation. As Wednesday's episode draws to a close, the threads of these separate storylines begin to weave together. Stephanie stands at a crossroads between fear and ambition. Shawn and Belle grapple with loss, love, and moral compromise. Kayla and Steve risk everything in a race against time. And EJ, ever the strategist, pulls strings behind the scenes to build an empire on the edge of life and death. But no plan comes without cost, and no secret stays buried forever. Will EJ's hospital takeover go off without a hitch? Will Stephanie's book become the beacon Alex envisions, or will it cause new fractures in her already complicated relationships? Will Shawn and Steve's theft of the miracle drug be discovered? And most importantly, will both survive? Next, Sophia's stand. A young woman's heartbreaking choice and Tate's dangerous gamble. In the Wednesday episode of Days of Our Lives, viewers were drawn into an emotionally charged moment as two young lovers found themselves on the brink of adulthood, love, and heartbreak. For Sophia, it was a day of awakening, painful and uncertain, but also necessary. For Tate, it was a day to make bold decisions. But in Salem, every choice comes with a cost, especially when love, family, and futures hang in the balance. The silence before the storm, it begins quietly. Tate walks into the room and finds Sophia curled up on her bed, silent and small, like a shadow of herself. Her eyes are blank, not from physical pain, but from emotional exhaustion. The kind that comes from watching your dreams slip through your fingers while the world around you keeps spinning. "How do you feel?" he asks gently. Sophia doesn't answer right away. What is there to say? Her senior year. A time most teenagers spend dancing at proms, preparing for college, dreaming of tomorrow, has been swallowed whole by chaos. She's not just lost her footing, she's lost a part of her identity. The possibility of raising a child, though terrifying, had started to root itself in her imagination. Now, with the decision to give the baby up for adoption, that possibility is gone. Gone, too, is any illusion that she is in control of her own life. At least, that's how it feels. A tipping point. Tate sits beside her and tries to offer comfort. But he knows words won't fix this. Not really. Still, he tries. He reminds her that she's turning 18 soon. And once that happens, she will finally be old enough to make her own choices, to take control of her life, even if she's never done so before. Sophia gives a hollow laugh. Sounds more like a sigh. In theory, yes, she says. But I've never stood up to my mother. Not once. Tate looks her in the eye, hopeful. Then maybe it's time. And in that moment, something shifts. It's subtle but real. The weight of Sophia's grief doesn't disappear, but it settles into a place where something new, something stronger, can begin to grow. With a quiet resolve, she murmurs, "For the first time in my life, I'm going to stand up to my mother." Then, without another word, she walks to the bathroom, leaving Tate alone with his thoughts and his phone. A risky call. As soon as Sophia is out of sight, Tate makes a decision of his own. He pulls out his phone and calls Holly. He wants to talk. Now. When Sophia returns, she catches sight of him finishing the call. She doesn't ask who he was talking to, she already knows. The look in her eyes is unreadable, but she tries to mask it with indifference. "Go," she says, waving him off like it doesn't matter. He hesitates, unsure whether to stay or follow through with his plan. But ultimately he leaves. Once the door closes behind him, Sophia's bravado fades. She doubles over slightly, one hand pressed to her stomach as she tries to hold back tears. The weight of the world, it seems, has not lifted just yet. Tate and Holly, a complicated reunion at the bar. Holly is already waiting when Tate arrives. There's tension in the air, remnants of their past relationship, unresolved emotions, and perhaps a sliver of hope. Tate wastes no time. He lays it all out. He and Sophia are putting the baby up for adoption. It's the right choice, he says, because Sophia is turning 18 and finally has the power to choose her own path. Then, almost without taking a breath, he shifts gears. "Now that things are calming down, maybe you and I can give this another shot?" Before Holly can respond, Roman appears out of nowhere, all business. The restaurant dishwasher has malfunctioned again, and he needs someone to hold it steady while he fixes it. He grabs Tate by the arm before Holly can utter a single word, dragging him off to the kitchen. Smiles, secrets, and unspoken things. As soon as Tate is gone, another figure emerges from the shadows, Doug. It's no secret that he's never been fond of Tate. But with his perceived rival out of the room, Doug wastes no time in sliding in beside Holly. Whatever storm may have been brewing between Tate and Sophia, or even between Tate and Holly, Doug is determined to carve out his own piece of her attention. Holly smiles as Doug approaches, but there's something distant in her expression, something unfinished. Where things stand, this episode left fans with more questions than answers. Is Sophia truly ready to stand up to her controlling mother, or will the pressure prove too much once again? Will she follow through with the adoption, or could her heart change in the final hour? And what of Tate? Is he seeking comfort with Holly, or using the promise of reconciliation to escape his own heartbreak? And then there's Holly, caught between past affections and present consequences. As Salem braces for more upheaval, one thing is clear: the road to adulthood is anything but easy, especially when you're carrying the weight of your choices and the echoes of your past. In Salem, nothing is ever simple. And love, especially young love, is the most complicated thing of all.